I decided I was sick of leaves and water and all the sea and leaves, so I decided to do something huge. Let's see if we can lower violence in a war-torn area. So I was looking around trying to find a place where I could get a lot of data, because nobody wants to talk about the bodies in a war. And I'm called everywhere around the world. Even found a Jack Bauer 24 type counter-terrorist unit in the State Department of the US and tried to get information about an area of terrorism. And you can imagine how interested they were in me after asking about this. So they've got my social security number now. But I finally found Sri Lanka, a place that had had a 25-year war. It wasn't going anywhere. It was just intractable. And they had a lot of data 2 years before, which my scientists wanted in order to track what happened and to see if it deviated from what happened before. So we sent intention over 8 days, and here we are. Deaths and injuries fell drastically after it. But after a huge surge of violence during the 8 days we sent, and then maintained down. As you can see, this is a statistician, Dr. Jessica Utz. Her analysis, the little green line shows, based on the past, where it should have gone, and you can see that last little dot underneath is where it did go. And so we lowered violence, but more interestingly, that 8-day experiment proved, during that time, that period proved pivotal to the course of the war. The government, which had been losing, suddenly took over and won some decisive battles. The rebel forces had owned the entire North. They had captured the entire North. And after those decisive battles, the government was able to reclaim the North. And so they managed to expunge the rebels from there. 3 months later, and 5 months later after that, that 25-year war was over. All Jessica Utz could say, realizing that our 8 days seemed to be pivotal to the course of the war, was, weird, huh? You know, weird, huh? And, you know, look, did we do that? Short answer, who knows? You know, there's so many variables in a war, you can't claim credit for something like that. But it was weird, and it also isn't the point of the story. The point of the story is I decided to survey our participants, mainly to find out if they could get on my website, because there'd been a lot of problems trying to orchestrate a thing at that point that would allow thousands of people to come on the same website at the same moment and send an intention. So I was asking, and I was also asking how it was for them. You know, what happened to you? And I started getting thousands of answers like this. It is as if my brain is wired to a bigger network. I had thousands of them, things like this. I felt like I stepped into a palpable stream of energy along my arms and hands, which felt like it had direction, force, and mass. Remember, folks, people were sending intention from their own individual computer screen. Had nothing to do with being collective in a group. They were individual, and somehow they were feeling this amazing energy, and it was transporting them to an altered state. My whole body was tingling. I was having goosebumps. I felt a strong current in my body. It was like a solid magnetic force field all around me. Sort of like what I imagine it would be like to be locked in a tractor beam like it's described on Star Trek. It stopped soon after the experiment. What was that? Participants reported, aside from this total altered state, they were feeling closer, more peaceful in every regard in their lives, closer to loved ones, closer to strangers, particularly 40%, healed relationships, new life's purpose. A lot of people quit their jobs and started working for the Peace Corps, things like that. Somebody else wrote, quit my boring job, I'm finding something I've always wanted to do. A more peaceful life in general, hugging strangers.